Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the second test for my Foundations Writing class, which is from the Great Writing 3 book series. Unit 2 is all about the 5 elements of good writing. So if you have your textbook with you, go on ahead and get it out and open it up to Unit 2. Remember, it's got this picture of someone, looks like someone painting a picture. So go on ahead and get this out. As I go through the important things to remember for this chapter, I have my book here and I will be giving you page numbers. Also, what I have here is the exam. So at the end of this video, just like in all of my other videos, I will go over the important things that you need to know to pass your exam. So stay tuned until then. Okay, let's go on ahead and let's get started. Okay guys, so like I said, we're going to be using Great Writing 3 and this is Unit 2. So what I've done for this video is I'm actually breaking it up into 3 different parts. First, we're going to talk about the 5 elements of good writing, which is what we've been talking about over the past 2 weeks. We're going to talk about clarity, cohesion, unity, audience, and then we're going to start off with purpose. After that, we're going to briefly discuss the writing process and then take a look at the grammar for this particular unit. Like I said, at the very end, that's when we're going to take this test and I'm going to tell you all of the important information you need to know in order to pass this exam. So let's go ahead and let's get started with the first of our 5 elements, which is purpose. Now remember, we talked about purpose is all about why you are writing. Okay? If you look in your textbook, which is what I'm doing right now, on page 40 in your textbook is a copy of the definition, the book's definition for purpose. Talking about the reasons why the writer writes, like we said. Now in class we talked about there are 3 different purposes. We have to persuade or change someone's mind, to entertain or make a reader feel emotion, or to inform or to teach. The next part, the next element of good writing actually is the audience. Now the audience is the reader, the person who is reading your paragraph or your essay. And there are 3 types of audiences. We talked about first person audience, which is I. So I believe, I think, it's all about I in first person. Second person is you. So you think, you believe, you should do this. Also using the imperative, stand up, sit down, wash your hands, go to the bathroom. Okay, all of those are written in second person. Now third person is where you are going to use your name or someone else's name. You're talking about someone. You're not talking as someone, you're not talking to someone, but you're talking about them. So for example, if I was to speak in third person, I would sound like, Miss Casey thinks this, Miss Casey thinks that, Miss Casey says this, Miss Casey does that, or she thinks this, she thinks that. Okay, so to write in third person where you're writing about yourself, it may sound a little strange, but actually third person is the audience most often used in academic writing. So really important to recognize that third person because you will use it more often at the university. The third element of good writing is clarity or writing clearly. So in class we talked about it's really important to choose specific words. We don't want to use general terms. In fact, if you guys look on page 47 in your book, it looks just like this, page 47. You're going to see that they have a lot of vague words that we want to try to avoid. So words like good, bad, fun, big, small, old. Now it's important to be able to choose specific words to replace those vague words so that the writer can properly tell his or her opinion or his or her message. Remember, saying I'm happy about tomorrow, that's okay, but you can be happy about winning $1 million, but you can also be happy about finding a pencil in your backpack. There's a difference in terms of happiness. So make sure you choose the most specific vocabulary word as possible in order to make sure that your message is accurate to the reader. Now, the fourth element of good writing is unity, and unity appears actually on page 53. It is all about making sure your ideas are connected, deleting any irrelevant sentences. Remember irrelevancy from Unit 1? If you don't remember that, go on ahead, look at the bottom bar. I put a link to that previous video. And remember, everything in these chapters build on each other. So if there's a word or phrase that you don't understand me saying, go check out the video below because I will probably talk about it there. So anyway, it's important to make sure that all of your ideas are one complete idea. They need to be connected to that topic sentence and the supporting sentences and concluding sentence. So delete any of those irrelevant details. Now, the fifth element of good writing is coherence. And coherence starts on page 56. And actually, I think I forgot the page number for audience. Audience is on page 44 of your book, but coherence is on 56. And coherence is all about making sure your ideas are organized and that they flow fairly smoothly. So using transition words, words like first, next, after that, then, okay? Looking at the bottom of page 57 in your book, 57, you guys can see that? Page 57 has a list of some really commonly used transition words. As we go throughout the unit, we will use specific transition words for specific types of writing, but for right now, it's important to make sure that all of your ideas are connected. Okay, so now we're going to talk briefly about the writing process. And it's important that you follow all of these steps to make sure that your writing is absolutely the strongest it could possibly be. So, we have 3 steps to the writing process. Pre-writing, where we write our ideas and we organize. I'm going to put a link to the video that I showed you guys over pre-writing. I'll put it somewhere around here. And then after we pre-write and get our ideas and organize, then we write. We take those ideas and we put them into sentences or a paragraph. The third step is revising and editing. Revising and editing is when you change your organization, change your ideas, add more information, fix grammar, fix spelling, fix punctuation, make it better. Okay? If you remember anything about revising and editing, is make your writing better. Now, there were a lot of different grammar units that we talked about in this particular unit. So first of all, I'm going to start off with a sentence fragment. Now, a sentence fragment is a mistake. A sentence fragment is a problem. Sentence fragments are word groups that look like sentences, but they are missing some information. So they might be missing a subject or a verb or a complete thought. So what we have to do after we recognize those sentence fragments is we have to go back and fix them. We can add a subject, add a verb, or make it a complete thought. So over here, we've got a couple of examples of sentence fragments on the left. So we've got she, pretty girl, completed his homework, and while I am studying. All of those are groups of words that look like sentences. They may be really long, but they're missing one of those 3 essential parts. So instead of she, pretty girl, which is great, it has a subject, it has a thought, but it's missing a verb. She is a pretty girl. Now we have a complete sentence. Same thing with the next one, completed his homework. Who completed his homework? He completed his homework. And then the third one is a little bit more difficult because it looks like a complete sentence, but while, that word at the beginning, is called a subordinating conjunction. We'll talk more about subordinating conjunctions in the future, but if you put a subordinating conjunction at the beginning of a sentence, it takes that sentence and makes it need some help from other sentences. So the best way to fix that is either add a complete thought that answers the question, what did you do while I was studying? Or you can simply delete that word. So the option I gave you over here is, while I am studying, I ate a snack. You could also say, I am studying. Both of those answers fix the problem of missing that complete thought. You just have 2 different ways that you can say it. The second grammar problem that we talked about was making sure that our pronouns agree. Pronoun agreement is really important because pronouns take the place of other nouns in a sentence, and it's important that it's clear which noun is being taken out. the nouns that pronouns replace, they're called antecedents. You don't have to know that for the test, but it's important that your antecedent relationship is clear. And if it's not, you may have to fix it. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. So I've got a sentence here: cakes and cookies are my favorite foods to eat in America. It can be delicious with warm milk. What is it? If I look back, there is no singular noun that it is taking the place of. In fact, cakes and cookies are both plural. So what I'm going to have to do is take out it and replace it with the noun that it is taking the place of. So look at sentence 2 over here. Cakes and cookies are my favorite foods to eat in America. Cake can be delicious with warm milk. That way it's clear to the reader that I'm talking about cake can be delicious with warm milk, not cookies. There, I have to change the pronoun. Let's talk about preparing for this test. So, all of these things that I talk about, I am going to be looking at this exam. I'm looking at the exam as I talk to you about them. So, make sure you pay attention. Okay. So first, you're going to be asked to define those 5 parts of good writing, similar to the quiz that I've given you earlier. So if you remember those parts, if you remember those definitions, you should be fine. The second thing you're going to be asked to do, and this is on page number 2 of your test, you're going to be asked to improve sentences by making sure that they have good clarity, taking general words and making them specific. So take a look in your book at those general vocabulary words, the ones under clarity, which, like I said, I think is on page 50. No, not 50. It's on page 47. Go to page 47, look at those words. You will be asked to make 2 of those words, because there are 2 questions on the test that are like this, make them more specific. I don't care what manner you make them more specific, but you need to change the sentence so that the word is much more specific. I don't care what order it goes in, but you need to make sure that the word is made more specific. Now, the next thing you're going to be asked to do, just like on the quiz, is change sentences from one audience to the other. So if I give you a sentence in second person and ask you to change it to third, make sure you are able to do that. If I give you a sentence in third person and ask you to change it to first, make sure you can do that as well. Okay, and that is on page 1 of your exam. The next part, identify and fix sentence fragments and problems with pronouns. Now, sentence fragments will be on page 1 of your exam. Pronoun problems will be on page 2. Like I said, guys, I'm telling you what's on the test. It's right here. So, be able to, if I give you a sentence and I tell you, if the pronoun in bold, I'm reading from the test, if the pronoun in bold needs to be more clear, replace it with the current noun. So, guys, I'm going to read the directions to you from the test. If the pronoun in bold needs to be made more clear, replace it with the correct noun. If not, you're going to leave it blank. That is from the test. Right here, I read it. So, make sure you understand those directions. Okay, and also, just like on the quiz, if I give you a sentence fragment, if I give you a sentence that is incomplete, be able to add a subject, add a verb, fix the complete thought. If not, if it's all fine, just write correct. Fix each sentence fragment. If it is not a fragment, write correct on the line. That's also verbatim from the test, page 1. Okay, and the last part, you are going to write a paragraph using the 3 parts of the writing process. So I'm not going to tell you, hey, do your pre-writing here. I might say, here is a space to gather ideas and organize. So make sure that you read directions and that you also understand the purpose of all 3 of those steps. Not only the name, but also the goal, what you are trying to do with each step of the process. Now, I'm going to go on ahead and give you guys some tips for passing this exam. Always start with the hard part first. You know that on every one of my tests, we're going to have to write a paragraph. So skip to the very back of your exam and start that paragraph first. That way you can devote more time to the paragraph and less time to the easier, quicker to answer multiple choice questions. So, go on ahead also and give yourself some time to prepare. This video is going up in several days. This video goes up several days before your exam. So start watching it now, start reviewing now. Don't wait until the night before the exam. The more time you give yourself to prepare, the more comfortable you're going to feel when it comes to actually taking the test. Also, go on ahead and review all of the notes that we have. Remember, every time I write on the board and say, this is important, write this down, you should be copying this down. So look through your notebook, look through your book. Go on ahead and review all of the exercises that we talked about in class. Once again, start now so that in the future, if you have a problem or if there's a concept you don't understand, you can come to me. You can send me an email. You can say, hey, teacher, can you explain this? And I love doing that for you. But don't ask me right before the test. If you don't know it right before the test, you're not going to know it for the test. So give yourself time to review. Okay, guys, so like I said, I've given you as much of this exam as I can. So go back, review the parts that you don't understand, use your textbook, and if you prepare adequately and give yourself some time and relax, you will do fantastic on your exam. I will be back in my next video talking about Unit 3 of the Get Ready to Write series. Oh no, I'll be in my next video talking about Unit 3 in the Great Writing series, which will be our next exam. So until then, I'll see you guys. Good luck. Bye.